Hey you, welcome to or welcome back to Motivation Maven, a sub-episode of the Preventative Mental Health Show, where we're focused on motivation and inspiration to help you prepare for the week ahead. I'm Keisha, your host, and I am thrilled that you're tuned in today. So this is another Monday, and the reality is y'all have places to go, and I got a lot to share with you. So let's just dive right in and talk about what our topic is for today. So I have a ton of books that I am listening to and reading right now, and I have that bad habit. I guess maybe it may not be a bad habit, but a habit nonetheless of reading multiple books at one time and slowly getting through all of them. So my interests are spread out all over the place, but there was a book that I've never picked up a parenting book before. Now let me just say, caveat, if you're not a parent, hold on, this is still for you. This book is not about parenting. Well, I should say the book is, but our conversation today is not focused on being a parent. It's focused on being an adult and having resiliency and finding happiness, or at least contentment. And it's from this parenting book where I think it holds a key. Although it is talking about raising children, I think there is some goodness here for us as adults that's just a really good reminder so we can find happiness and establish more resilience as we are, growing. I think sometimes we think that if we're an adult, we're grown, and there's nothing more we need to learn, and we end up with this very fixed mindset. But the reality is we never stop learning and we never stop growing, and we are constantly developing our minds. So if we get stuck in a rut where you may feel that you are some days, the reality is you can get out of that. But do we have the tools, or are we even thinking and recognizing what it is that we need to do? So one of the things that came out of this book, The Danish Way of Parenting is the title of the book. It talks about the Danes, and the Danes are an ethnic group within Denmark. And they, for years, decades, there has been this list that comes out about the happiest people in the world, and these individuals are on that list religiously, okay? So there have been talk show hosts that bring these authors on, and they're like, why are the Danes so happy? Tell us the secret to happiness. It's not that, okay? We're not talking the Trolls movie here, and those of you who do have kids, or maybe you don't, you've seen that movie, know what I'm talking about. But the reality is there is something about the way the Danes live that's different from the rest of the world. And what's interesting about the authors, they're a married couple, and one is from America and one is from Denmark. One's a Dane. And what's interesting is that they noticed as they raised their children, they approached parenting differently. And what the root of the entire book is that the Danish people are happy or more resilient, because look, there's people in the Danish community that are not happy. They aren't all walking around with sunshine and rainbows. It's the fact that they were developed as children to learn and grow and to focus on their resilience and their individuality. And that's not something we necessarily do in America. Now, this book is not America bashing, okay? That's not what it is. But it's just recognizing the differences. If you are in America, because I know we have listeners from all over the world, but Americans, we are competitive. We are competitive. Why? Because we are fighting for the American dream, and we're all running this race. Now, we don't always stay in our own lane, and we have other week episodes that we talk about staying in our lane and not worrying about other people's path. But the reality is we are just a competitive nation. And I'm not saying the Danish people aren't competitive, but they've understood the root and the purpose and the value of play. Now, in this book, it goes through all of the different sections. It literally spells out the word parent, okay? But the very first concept they teach us is P, the start of parent, right? And it's talking about the fact that play is so important. Now, you may not have known this. I learned this from the book. Legos were developed in Denmark by this company, and don't quote me on it, go look it up for yourself, but loosely remembering what the book was saying, Legos actually means good play, or something along those terms. The initial word for a Lego block meant good play, and we know them all as Legos. And then there was an artist in Denmark that would put these installations outside, all this beautiful art for people to appreciate. But as he observed his artwork, he noticed that kids played on it more than adults were appreciating it. So there is a company in Denmark that is one of the leading playground manufacturers in the world. The Danes know how to play, and they do it well. In fact, this really struck me. They don't even force their kids to go to school early. Like, we're like, oh my gosh, you got to go to like daycare, the best daycare in the world, by the way, because, you know, it's going to mess up your entire development. And then you got to get to pre-K and then kindergarten. They pull that back a year because they want the kids to take more time to just be kids and to play. And they look at children in this whole concept, and they try to focus on them just not just wanting to be competitive and to grow and to learn, but they want them to play and build a resiliency and build their creativity. We don't do that. We're taking art out of schools. We're taking music out of schools. We're so focused on academics and succeeding in the test score. So all that really just stood out to me, and I could relate to it. And I started to think, if play is so important, and this is something the book brought up as well, the Danish people are not just happy adults, they became happy children. They became resilient children. And those children grew up, and then now there is this cycle in the entire community where they now are teaching their children. Now, you got to read the book if you want to ask all the questions and all that stuff. And if you're a parent, you're like, how do I learn this type of parenting? Because trust me, my oldest is 13. I've never picked up a parenting book. I probably should have many years ago. I'm sitting here like, ooh, I could probably do better there, right? But the point today is, somewhere along the way as adults, we forgot to play. We forgot about the importance of play. And or you grew up probably like I did, where we're just so focused on that test score and competing, and I got to do the best I can so I can get to college, so I can get into the best college, so I can get the best job, and then I can just work myself till the end. That might be you. That might be you too. We might be in the same boat together. The reality is we need to learn to play. And one of the things that I wasn't 100% bought in. And they talked about kids, but they also talked about nature, like animals, right? They play all the time, but though that play is for survival skills. They're play fighting because they know that one day they're going to have to go kill their food. And the reality is, when you look at it as a people, we are saying that, or they are saying that we play, children play, not necessarily for survival, for food, and I guess you could loosely say we do, right? For our livelihoods. It's the fact of they are pushing themselves to their boundaries. They are stressing themselves. So when they do end up dealing with life stressors that are real, that they feel better prepared to handle them. They know their limits. It's like when you see a child on a playground and they're trying to climb up to get to that top slide for the very first time. They may not make it the first time. They may not want to ask for your help. And when they get to that point that they do need some help, they will reach back. And that's the reality for us as adults. We push and push and push ourselves. But do we truly have the resiliency skills that we need? So when we get to that top, or we get to a place where we're struggling, that we're not falling apart, that we're not retreating. And better yet, when are we going to learn to ask for some help? Because for so long, we think that we can't ask for help because if we ask for help, there's failure. But the reality is, if we are pushing ourselves to our personal limits, and we know that, I need some assistance just to get to the other side, they are teaching their children in this Danish community that I will not do it for you, but I will watch you progress. And when you need support, the support will be there without judgment. And I think that so many adults are just paralyzed from asking for help because they feel like if I ask for help, it looks like I failed. It looks like I'm weak. It looks like I don't know what I'm doing. So we just end up doing things wrong because we're just too scared to say that we just don't know how to do something, right? It happens all the time. So what is the lesson for this week? What is the challenge that I'm asking you? How is it that adults can play? Like, are we doomed? Like, if we didn't play enough when we were kids, are we just doomed for a life of just lacking of resiliency and stress? No. No, you can absolutely learn resiliency. That's what preventative mental health is really all about. It's about preventative steps that you can take to prepare for when life happens, because life is going to happen. That is saying preparing and building resiliency. So when life happens, you may need to reach out and say, I need an assist. You might say, hey, I need a therapist. I need someone to talk to. But hopefully you have built enough resiliency skills to be able to get yourself through until you can seek the help you need to. That's what preventative mental health is all about. It's all about. So the question is, can we play as adults? Absolutely. What does play look like in adults? It's hobbies and leisure activities. That is adult play. And for many moons, trust me, you might be in the same boat with me. If somebody asks, what's your hobby? Going to school? Going to work? Who has time for hobbies? Who's truly working only 8 hours a day? I'm working morning to night, still running a household, working on the weekends, bringing my work computer with me on vacation. Y'all, this is my birthday week. Not only did I take off one day, I took off two. Woo, we're learning resiliency, we're learning balance. I'm putting my values in line with where they belong. It's development, it's growth. And believe me, if you asked Keisha 10 years ago and said, are you going to take your birthday off for work? I'd have been like, oh my gosh, no, there's too much work to do. Y'all, let me tell you that work is still going to be there tomorrow. And the next day. And probably the next day after that. But it's finding that balance. So if you don't have a hobby, the challenge this week is go find one. Sit down. Take some time and genuinely figure out what it is that you like to do like 10, 15 years ago, because there's something that you liked to do back then and you became an adult and you now have work and all these other responsibilities and you forgot all the things that you just enjoyed. You forgot them. Go dust them off. Go find them. If you liked to play soccer, then go find an adult soccer league. I'm not saying you got to start this week, but I'm saying do the research and get yourself enrolled. Or just go get a soccer ball and go find an open field and just go enjoy yourself. Call up that friend that also used to play soccer with you, but y'all are just too busy with life, and now you probably feel like, well, I got all these kids, what am I supposed to do? Bring the kids with you and go get your friend and get the soccer ball out there and go have some fun. If you like to take photos, go take photos. If you like to go to the gym, go to the gym. I mean, y'all, I'm telling you, I got on my spin bike. I have a Peloton. I'm a crazy Peloton person. I am. I love it. And I have my kids all standing around the Peloton, all trying to talk to me. I'm trying to pay attention. And I refused to get off my Peloton. I was going to get my workout done because I enjoyed it. And it's not selfish. It's self-focus. And sorry, y'all, you're just going to have to wait. You got 17 more minutes and I'll be done and I'll be able to help you. But at this very moment, this is my time. Because it's my hobby. I like to do this. Do you like to bake? Then bake. You like to sing. You like music, listen to music. You just like want to sit and watch the birds and people watch. That's cool too. It's a leisure activity, I guess. I mean, if you want to sit and look at the water and watch the sunset and the sunrise, do that. You are not too busy to have fun. You owe it to you. You're not too busy to have some fun. And those of you who do have kids, let me tell you right now, they're watching every single thing we do. They're mimicking every single thing we do. So if you don't have enough motivation for yourself to go and find your hobby or go dust off your hobby or start a new hobby, for those of you who are parents, do it for your kids. Because if you want them to lack balance, if you want them to just go to work and bring a laptop on vacation, if that's the life you want for them, then do nothing. If you want a different life for them, then be the example. They need you to be the example. And they're not going to know that it's okay to play and to have fun as an adult unless you do it. And don't be like, oh, well, I go on vacation 2 or 3 times a year and, I go all out and I have fun then. No. Consistent fun. Not 1 or 2 times a year. I mean, think about that. There's 365 days in the year. You mean to tell me you're only willing to have fun maybe 10 days a year out of 365? I mean, just that coming out of my mouth and hopefully you hearing that, you're probably like, oh yeah, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? That's not even 10% of the year. 365 days. So think about it. find something that you could do that is consistent. And you don't have to do it every day, but something that is consistent. All right, y'all, I've gotten all fired up. Let me see if I can find our quote for the day. And honestly, our quote for the day isn't really a quote. It's a phrase. It's a phrase. Well, I guess it's a quote. I mean, the American Academy of Pediatricians, actually, this came from them. And it says the following: play is not just about having fun, but about taking risks, experimenting, and testing boundaries. Remember when I said that as adults, we're still growing, we're still developing? You don't want to just have a fixed mindset as an adult. That is why play is important. Yes, they wrote this for children to tell adults. They're trying to convince adults why their children need to play and not be overscheduled. It still applies to you. Play is not just about having fun, but about taking risks, experimenting, and testing boundaries. Don't put yourself in a box and say you have nothing more to learn. You do. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean life just ends and you're stuck at wherever point you've just stopped developing. That's not how this works. So when you find that hobby that you love, or you find a new one, or you're like, shoot, I don't even know what makes me happy anymore, now I gotta go explore hobbies, remember that you're not wasting your time. You're taking a risk, you're experimenting, and you're testing your personal boundaries, because something you're not great at today, you will be amazing at later if you are just willing to invest the time in you, so you can have some resiliency and a set opportunity to relax and reset. Because when we're playing, we're learning. And we say that all the time. For babies, it's appropriate. For toddlers, we're like, yeah, as they're playing, they're exploring, they're learning. Well, our play is exploring and learning. It's exploring and learning. So don't cut yourself short. Don't cut yourself short. So that's y'all, I'm so fired up about it. I'm so excited about it. That is the challenge for this week. Play. Play with your kids. Go find your own hobbies. Just get out there and have some fun. Put the work down. Breathe. It's going to be totally okay. Because the Danes know something we all don't know. There's a reason why they're on that list. America was number 17 out of 20. Right before Mexico. Like, we're at the bottom of the list, y'all. The list is only 20. 20 countries. We're barely making it. What is it? What is so different that they're doing that we're not doing? They've understood the value and the lessons learned from play. I hope you have an amazing week. Remember, you are worthy of the life that you want to live. Until next time, I'll see you soon.